Hello and welcome back to Dreamy Thatch Grove. I am Bryn, and it is lovely as always to have you here. So, a fun fact about Imbolc is that it is not currently Imbolc, and I think by the time I'm posting this, it'll be about a week late. I remember I got the Samhain deck from the Seasons of the Witch line, and I got it just a little bit too late to be able to post the tarot reading for Samhain in time for you to see it then, and I was mad at myself, and so I was so happy that I got this one a few months ahead of time, so I got it, ready to go and post. And then I was just so sick for the last 2 weeks. I'm feeling much better now, but I ended up not particularly having time to or energy to film this video like I meant to. So now, it is now. But to be honest, that's completely fine anyway. It's all timeless energy. We're just thinking about more the themes of Imbolc. I'm not really a celebrator of these pagan holidays. In particular, I just think that they're neat to focus on a certain energy. Imbolc, if you are unfamiliar, it's a pagan holiday of midwinter, sort of the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring or vernal equinox, typically about February 1st or 2nd, I believe. And there are a number of themes surrounding Imbolc. A lot of it is about purification, clearing away of the old stagnant energies. It's also very associated with fertility and women, I believe. It's also a lot of candle magic to it. So I'm going to start before the reading with lighting these candles here. So for today, I'm going to do a spread of mine that is usually for the videos I do around these holidays. Usually I end up doing my shadow revelations spread, but for this one Imbolc is good for shadow work, but I felt like focusing on that idea of purification. And so today we are going to do a 5-card purification spread. Let's see here. Yeah, so we start off drawing 2 cards at the bottom and the top for the shadow self and the highest self. What I mean by that are the messages from that version of you. The shadow self you can think of as being sort of the repressed version of you, maybe the darker parts of you that you maybe try to subdue. And when I say the highest self, what I mean is, if you are at all familiar with the idea of parts work as like a therapy technique. It essentially is like there are different parts of you that are more reactive in the moment and sort of like you compartmentalize, whereas the highest version of you would be able to view all of them at one time rather than narrowing in on one of them. It can view every aspect of you and also their contexts, noticing your own patterns and the reasonings behind them. So that is the highest self. So it's just a message from each of those versions of you. And then there's 3 cards. First is the stagnant. What is the stagnant energy in you or around you? The burgeoning seed, by which I mean like if you picture the first snowdrops coming up and then melting in late winter. It's like, what is that energy just trying to crop up from beneath the snow out of the ground? And then the last one is the clearing. How do you clear away what needs to be purified away in order to make room for the new? So that's going to be our spread today. Let me get the matches. My stomach just gurgled like crazy. And as I am lighting these candles, I want you to try and feel your breath without controlling it in any particular way. And try to tap into those 2 versions of you, the shadow self and the highest self. It is not something that requires effort except to like strip away whatever's keeping you from that. Does that make sense? So just focus in on the breath and be quiet for a moment. Got to be such a big flame. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. There we go. Keep my notes handy because I forget. On my of course, using the Seasons of the Witch Imbolc Oracle deck. Set that to the side. There we go. Yeah, good, come on. Set that over here. So I'm going to split you into 3 groups. Group number 1 is the candle group. Group number 2 is the broom group. And group number 3 is the light group. Candle, broom, and light. Just pick whichever word is resonating with you right now as you think about purification of the self. Falling out a little bit. Not in a serendipitous way, just like I'm using new nail glue way. I think that's good enough. Alright, group number 1, the candle group. Just set you right here. So first, we pull cards for messages from the shadow self and the highest self. From the shadow self, you got candle dressing. That's perfect. Sharp as nails, engraving my will. Intentions spoken, declare what will be. And the highest self, the message from the highest self. Let me move this little crystal pendulum a little bit. There we go. Still see it 'cause it's pretty. The message from the highest self. Grimoire. Keep what is sacred near to you, for it is only to be shared when you are ready. What's funny is this is number 12 and this one's number 24. They both have a little skull on them as well. It's funny that the shadow self has such a bright card, and then the highest self is rather the dark nighttime card. The shadow self immediately is talking about sort of manifestation and willpower. It's the highest self. I want to say almost just patience. Move you a little bit again. But we're going to wait to read these descriptions until we're done with the across 3. So first is the stagnant. What is the energy in and around you that has been stagnant? Brigade's doll. I did look this up when I got this deck, and there are conflicting reports on how to pronounce this. I saw some that said Brigid, some that said Brigid, and several that said Bried. So I guess just sort of fuck me, you know? I think I'm gonna say Brigid for the purposes of this video. If that's wrong, literally take it up with Ireland, you know what I mean? I'm so sorry, Ireland. Brigid's doll for the stagnant energy. And it says here, thread by thread I weave my desires, working as one with the source of creative power. That idea of weaving your desires feels very similar to the idea of engraving your will. So it seems like the shadow self is moving with awareness of the stagnation here. I see a hesitation of sorts, specifically with creativity, but maybe also with community. Most of these cards visually have just like an individual on them. Only a few have multiple figures. So there could also be something to be said here for trying to go it alone and ignore collaborations. But I'm going to pull the cards and then we'll read through them together from the booklet. There's the stagnant energy. This is the burgeoning seed. What within you is trying to bubble up? What wants to be birthed? Weather divination. I trust in what I feel, for what I feel are signs to pay mind to. What I'm seeing here is a trust of one's intuition. Maybe you feel, or at least hope that you are on the cusp of feeling safe to trust in yourself, trust your instincts, but are not currently there. Again, I'm going to keep reading for now, so we'll come back to this. And the last one is the clearing. What do you need to do in order to clear away what needs to be stripped away from you and get your energies moving again in a healthy way? Serpent. This is another of those times. I feel like this happens so often when I film these, and almost never when I'm doing it for myself or someone in person. But this is yet another time where I feel like the card pulled is itself matching the description of the position it's in. So the clearing away of like the old is the theme of what this card is supposed to be, whatever it was gonna pull. And then the theme of serpent is itself sort of a stepping out of the old skin, right? It says here, slither through and out as you shed in preparation for a new beginning. So, it's almost very frustrating to have a card that is that fitting to what the position in the spread is asking of it. It feels sometimes like just an exclamation point. Like we're pulling a random card and we're asking like what do we do to clear clear and to move forward. And then the card pulled is just like, yeah, clear and move forward. And it's frustrating almost in its lack of clarity. But you should take note of its sort of emphasis. That's what I mean by like exclamation point. It can mean that you're maybe overthinking the method, overthinking what you're supposed to do, instead of just maybe trusting your instincts and just moving forward. But first, let us look at the booklet and go through and read. I'm going to read the cross ones first, and then we'll come back to the self. Bridget's doll, Bridget's doll. So, Bridget's doll, and this is the stagnant card, the stagnant energies. This means good favor, happy life, increased finances, and creativity. During ancient times, fertility dolls were crafted in honor of the goddess Bridget and placed in small beds near the home hearth to welcome good luck, herald light, and of course encourage fertility and growth. Receiving this card suggests fortune has entered your orbit. Again, remember this is in the stagnant position though, and the booklet is written as if almost it's like just a single card reading, so. But it says this receiving the card suggests fortune has entered your orbit and can indicate a prosperous and joyful time ahead. It may also suggest financial stability and a happy home. For a reading about career, this card means a promotion, likely with significant pay increase. In a reading about love, this card can be a harmonious relationship in which both partners are supported and nourished. In general, this card represents a happy life that seems to be blessed by the goddess herself. Receiving it is a good sign that beneficial favor will be with you for some time, so enjoy this cycle as happiness tends to attract more happiness. Projects started in the coming weeks are likely to have long-term success, and any new people entering your life have the potential for soulmate connections. A very positive card. Again, I'm so sorry. Do remember this is the stagnant energy. So with that in mind, it almost reads as like maybe just like a little bit of depression for some time. Maybe there's been some self-isolating. I think for some of you, there might even specifically be a seasonal affective disorder. I've never experienced that myself, but that's sort of the vibe I'm getting. You sound very tidy. There is I'm almost visualizing it as like a lack of like flow in like, if you're familiar with the idea of chakras, like the energy in the chakras, there's just a lack. I'm picturing that scene in Avatar where that one monk to the guru is like, the these pools are like your chakras, and there's all that gunk in there, and you need to like stir it up to get it flowing. This hasn't been stirred. Does that make sense? And I think for you there might be an element of the stagnation of happiness that you are experiencing is a direct result of the stagnation or maybe resistance towards connection. I believe I used the word collaboration when I first pulled this. I think there's a resistance to finding collaborators because it does emphasize creativity, and I think I feel that in you is like that. Like maybe there's like are you feeling like you're in like a dead-end job and you want to make a change, but it's scary, and so you haven't done it, and that's very understandable. But I think it's also a matter of like, you don't just need to like, quit your job right away. You know that you could also start by like talking to people about the things that you want to do. And I think that maybe that feels a little bit scary. It feels scary to admit what you want because it can be embarrassing to feel like the proof to feel like because you don't have it yet, that's proof that you don't deserve it, and that anyone you're trying to talk to will see that and think it's like cringe and stupid that you want anything else. And that's just not really how most people react. So but I think, there's a lack of taking the first steps on some big goals, maybe big goals you've had for a long time, maybe like overarching things for your life you want, or it could even be on like a specific project that you're really passionate about, but just a little bit afraid to start on. And I think at least for some of you, I think it's especially because you suspect that that will require working with other people rather than just doing it all by yourself. And that can feel scary and weird. No shame in that. I sympathize. Believe. Next up is the burgeoning seed. This is the thing sort of coming to fruition or trying to within you that is waiting to be birthed. And you got weather divination. The keywords are focus, paying attention, interpreting signs, and trusting what you feel. Divinations are rarely, if ever, no, I misread it already. Divinations rarely, if ever, deliver clear-cut signs, so it's up to you to learn how to piece things together to tell the most accurate story. This is something to be learned over time, of course, but it's also an innate gift you must possess, so you have the confidence to know what is right or wrong. This card suggests a need to watch your situation closely, knowing others are watching you just as intently. You are likely experiencing many moving parts that require a great deal of focus and attention. Many things may fall through the cracks in the coming weeks if you aren't careful. You may need a little extra effort for a time until things settle down, but just as with any divination, you need some room to release perfectionism. Do the best you can while understanding that mistakes are unavoidable. Others will respect your efforts as long as you are honest and willing to acknowledge you may not have all the answers. If you're worried about how your situation will play out, drawing this card means that there isn't a clear answer just yet. Trust that if something feels off, then it probably is. That is an interesting card to have in the burgeoning position here. The main thing I see here is a distrust of the self. And that the thing you want to rise to the surface is a better understanding of your gut instinct. And I keep going back to that idea of other people. In the description for this, it mentions something about keep watch while knowing you are being watched just as intently. I wonder if maybe there has been, I want to say, some sort of betrayal in the past. Maybe not even a full betrayal, but maybe a miscommunication that really stayed with you and really made it hard for you to gauge the genuineness of other people around you. And that is maybe giving you pause, and that might be the root of that resistance to collaboration. And so bubbling up in you is that ability to just read people better and trusting in your instincts. And the thing with that is that I think that you know on some level that until you can trust yourself, you're not going to feel capable to trust other people around you. There could even be some amount of maybe paranoia in here. Perfectly understandable. I keep wanting to think of a way of putting this, but I think maybe this might be very situation based for each of you as individuals, if that makes sense. I think, again, in some cases it could be a full-blown betrayal, it could be cheating. I think for a number of you it's more career-based, or at least hobby or niche community-based. Some kind of betrayal in there, or like I said, maybe not even a full betrayal. Maybe it's just there was some kind of miscommunication where you felt like the things you were saying or doing were being taken in bad faith, or maybe that people were being duplicitous. Maybe you felt like, I think at least for some of you, you felt like somebody else was getting the credit that should have been yours. And that's made you a little bit resistant, I think. Again, but this is like, so the specifics of this, I'm just giving like examples of it. The general gist here is that distrust of the self stemming from, or maybe causing, distrust of others, and that fracturing your progress on tapping into your creativity and that freedom of expression. Creativity is worth remembering. We refer to it as being self-expression, and that is true. But creativity has always also been a social endeavor. Even if you never end up sharing it, like the heart of it as a human impulse is social. And so when your social skills or your social circumstances are fractured, that can fracture your creativity as well. So that's what I'm seeing there. Let's move on to the clearing of serpent. As I said, this was very much just a confirmation of the position theme itself. What is it? 38. Keywords are reinvention, second chances, and growing pains. So very much just that idea of clearing in itself, sort of reiterated. The very first word in it is creativity. Creativity doesn't have an expiration date, and it's never too late to welcome a new addition into your life. Just when you think everything is over and you've lost what you've worked so hard for, or maybe you've missed the boat, you, like the serpent, can shed your skin and reinvent yourself entirely. The serpent card will make its way to you when a second chance is upon you. Any missed opportunity will soon be replaced with another. Forgiveness is close at hand, or perhaps you are about to have another shot at love. If your reading is about your career, pulling this card means a career change. Can mean a career change, and is a good omen for seeking new employment. Consider a physical makeover if that feels good to you. What might the person you're becoming dress like, or how might they behave? Can you embrace some of these qualities now? This card, however, does come with a note of caution. Growing pains can sometimes make transitions difficult. Remain patient and know that any challenges you face are temporary blocks to overcome. Just sort of like too perfect a card to be here for me to have anything clever to add for you. Specifically, that idea of reinvention is interesting. I think maybe there's something to be said for, no, let me say this. I'm gonna give you a Dolly Parton quote. And now that I've said that, I realize I should be doing that every video. I'm gonna give you a Dolly Parton quote, I believe. Yeah, no, I'm right. Okay, no, good, I'm right. I want to make sure I worded it precisely correct. It is a Dolly Parton quote where she just says, "Find out who you are and do it on purpose." I think that there is a common misconception that whoever you were when you were younger, or like whatever comes to you almost naturally first, that is like your truest self, and that if you do anything on purpose to behave differently from that, that's somehow you being like fake. When the reality is like a lot of our go-tos are just learned behavior, and they're patterns that we picked up from our parents and our community growing up. That's not any different than picking something when you're older, you know what I mean? And there are ways of doing that are lying. You don't need to lie about your past or who you've been. But like, don't be afraid to notice what you like and then be more of that on purpose. Do not feel like you need an invitation to become the person you want to be. Find out who you are and do it on purpose, and start that today. And I understand that the hard part of that is the finding out who you are. And I think it's helpful to remember that who you wish you were, the person you like maybe visualize yourself as potentially being, you want that specifically for a reason. And so the versions about that's already a part of you. Because people want different things for themselves as individuals. So the fact that the things you want speak to you, that means something. So just look towards the things that bring you joy. Notice when you feel jealousy towards how a person is. If you're like, God, I wish I was more like that. You want that for a reason. So just like catalog more of that. Notice your jealousy reactions. Notice your admiration reactions. And like let yourself catalog that as like, oh, I want that for a reason. The fact that I want this reveals something about who I am. And then let yourself keep stepping more and more into that. Now, we will finish with the messages from the self. First, the shadow self with candle dressing. Keywords are setting intentions, clarity, and asking for what you want. The candle dressing card wants you to understand what you want. How much of your dreams and desires are truly your own? Are they crafted out of what is expected of you? Or are these self-aware, intentional choices you have made for yourself, irrespective of the noise of social conditioning? God, that is exactly what I was just talking about. Receiving this card suggests a lack of clarity, not because you don't know what you want, but because you're perhaps too afraid to claim it. That's what we were talking about with this card over here. The fear of what others might think or say is paralyzing you, preventing you from clearly stating your desires. You are being guided to clear out any outdated beliefs about yourself evaluating the truth of your wants and desires. When you do this work, you will find things naturally fall into place, and that what you are meant to have will glide into your life. Manifestations will happen with greater ease, and doubt will be diminished. This card, in its most positive expression, guides you to dream big. Remove the concept of the impossible from your mind and entertain all of your wildest dreams. You may be surprised by how quickly things can come together when you ask and believe. It's so fascinating that that's the one coming from the shadow position rather than the highest self. But I think that's a good thing. Shadow work can be delicious, to be honest. It's not like, if you're unfamiliar, please don't think shadow self is like the bad self. It's not. It's not, and I think that's very good. And probably means that you should be tapping more into your shadow self. It seems like that's the place where your like self-belief lives, and maybe that you've tucked that away there because you've been so afraid to trust yourself. And so I think getting to that burgeoning seed of that self-trust is going to require tapping into your shadow self more. So do some research on that, because I think that'd be really good for you. And not just will it be good for you, it can also like feel good to do. It should be like, it can be joyful and like pleasurable and good. And the last one, the highest self. Grimoire. The message from the highest self. Keywords are avoiding gossip, keeping secrets, and guarding your plans. Which, now that we've done the full reading, feels like it ties into these two cards here, as I was mentioning about perhaps past betrayal or conflict of some kind that has really left its mark on you. Let me read this card in full. Be careful about how much you share over the coming weeks, because you may be too quick to share information that could be harmful to yourself or others. This card warns against gossip and the damage it can cause. Ask yourself if you truly need to share this piece of information. What is the purpose of doing so? And does it have the potential to bring someone grief in the process? Aside from gossip, this card also suggests now is not a good time to share your plans. Others may be listening closely, waiting for the right bit of information to either detail your plans or steal them outright. Keeping your secrets for a time will also be beneficial for you, as you may need to work out more details before sharing anything with those closest to you. Doing so will allow you to solidify your plans without having to justify your actions or feel the need to offer an explanation if things don't work out as you expected. Keeping a grimoire journal or other sacred book will give you a safe space to share your thoughts and keep your personal records. Use this for now, then revisit your question again in 4 weeks' time. That is fascinating to me, because with everything I was saying about trusting the self and getting back into community with people and collaboration, on second thought, actually we'll put the kibosh on that for a minute maybe. That feels like such bad advice. It feels like leaning into the fear of trusting other people. I think with the spread as a whole, what you should take from this is that that idea of like needing to trust yourself before you can trust other people. Focus on the self and on what you want. Figure out some shadow work, maybe specifically like journaling about shadow work. I think would be really good for you. You can find some like guided journals and things. I'm literally working on making one, but even if you don't like buy, you don't need to buy anything, but like maybe just trying to journal for like shadow work and tapping into the shadow self. That is what you should be focusing on right now. You don't need to, it's so easy to be like, oh, open up more. But like, if you closed up for a reason, for a valid reason, sometimes the situation that led to that does not resolve cleanly. I'm wondering if maybe it's like family or otherwise somebody or people who you can't necessarily extricate yourself from cleanly at this time. Completely understandable. And take this as permission to just focus on the work on the self first. It says here even like revisit in 4 weeks' time. Again, the booklet is written more for like single card pulls. There's no specific timeline to this, but it is temporary. It's not saying never trust again. It's not saying don't tell anybody anything you're working on. This is just a for right now. You have not repaired your sense of trust in others. And so until that happens, it feels bad to say that you're right not to trust. I don't mean that. What I mean is you're right to know in yourself that you're not always getting an accurate read on people. And so it's okay to focus on your own work in your own time. You don't owe anybody an explanation. And then once you have done a little bit of that work and you feel a little bit more in touch with yourself and you've seen more of this burgeoning seed coming up from the ground for you and you've built up a little bit of the trust, that's when you can put that away and get back to collaboration and community. This ended up being a more specific reading than I was expecting. Sometimes they're quite general. Like I said, it's so easy to just be like, the cards say believe in yourself, but like that's not helpful, to be honest. So, let me show this. I can't shuffle these very well with my nails on, so I start by just putting the cards that were next to each other like randomly in the deck, and then I'll shuffle it. Is that embarrassing to admit? I don't care. I tried new nail glue and I don't like it, so I need to be like, but yeah, the end is quite specific, but I like that. Again, if that doesn't resonate with you, just take whatever does resonate and leave the rest. And yeah, that's it for you, Candle Group. Up next, we've got the Broom Group. Oh, that felt like it. I like this one at the top here. It had good vibes for you. Okay, Broom Group, your purification spread. I'm going to pull the first two, the shadow self and the high self. What is the message from your shadow self? Oh, Bridget. This is very much like the, I believe, Celtic deity most associated with Imbolc. And she's also a very wide-ranging deity. different meanings and interpretations. May the serpent wake, believing with the rising flame. I'm so sorry, I misread. May the serpent wake, bellowing with the rising flame, and beckoning the wisdom that awaits your return. A bit too poetic, I'll be honest. But we're going to read their descriptions at the very end. The message from myself. Dawn. Beautiful. Slow it down. Move slower. Yeah, sorry, I keep misreading them. Slow it down. Move slower still. Become the witness swelling in the presence. It's a beautiful card. We will read these at the very end. First, I'm going to pull the 3 across cards. First is your stagnant energy, the energy in or around you that is stagnant. Calming, I like this card. I am here, present, ready to answer the call. Hear my beating roar, come back home to me. I kind of forget what the meaning of this one is, but I remember I've gotten it before, and when I read the description in the booklet, I really liked it. I can't remember why now, but we will find out. First, we'll pull your additional cards. This is the burgeoning seed. What is the thing within you wanting to come out, wanting to be birthed? Horned owl. Become the shadow that watches, keeping quiet while moving intentionally. Already that feels a strong energy connection to dawn as far as like quiet and slow, the watcher, observer. I have no idea what to make of this yet. Let's pull your last card, the clearing card. What do you need to do to clear away what needs to be removed and amplify the energies that need to be stirred up within you? You got groundhog. Wake up, dear one, from the slumber you find comfort in. The truth is seeking those ready to acknowledge it. I'm going to go in with the booklet and read these descriptions right away. These 3 across here. Very animal-based, very fauna. A lot of like nature, but mostly like critters, animals. Something about connecting to nature. None of these really, I don't believe. Yeah, none of these really have more than one actual like human person on them. It's just that communing with nature. Alright. Let's start by reading Calming. This is your stagnant energy. So, 30. Your stagnant energy. Coming back home to the self, answering the call, taking the action. yourself is calling for more stillness, we're going to have to end up talking about the distinction to be made between inaction and stillness. But first I will read what it says. You have pulled this card today as confirmation that you are on the right path. Again, remember, this is written, the booklet is written for like if these were single card pulls, but this is specifically your stagnant energy, so bear that in mind. What you have asked about is right for where you are at this time in your life, and you can expect your situation to work out in a way that feels comfortable and natural for you. There is a feeling of coming home to where you belong when receiving this card. Even if things are still a little rocky, know that this will soon be over and you are already moving towards bliss. This card serves as the yes card in this deck, and also validates any idea, project, or relationship you are interested in moving forward with. Answer the call that is ringing in your soul, because the excitement and joy you feel is your higher self telling you this is what you are here on this earth to do or become. In some readings, this card indicates a need to spend more time at home or with family to heal any outstanding domestic troubles. Though there isn't much to be concerned about in moving forward, as long as you're showing willingness to overcome any problems. It was the same problem with the first group, which is that this is a very positive card, which should be lovely, except that it is so stagnant. I find it so cool that it mentions the higher self here. The excitement you feel is the higher self telling you this is what you are on this earth to do or become. Most of them don't mention the higher self. So it's cool that we have a card in here that is your higher self speaking to you. And I pointed it out as saying something very similar. But again, it is the stillness versus the inaction. It says that the card serves as the yes and validates ideas, projects, and relationships. So if that's stagnant for you, I'm seeing maybe an invalidation. Feeling very invalidated in a way that can be very frustrating and confusing and make you question yourself. It is feeling maybe on the cusp of being able to act on big plans for the self. I think maybe there's something about I want to say your purpose. You feel on the cusp of finding or tapping into your purpose, but it is blocked for you in some way. Let's keep reading and see what else we find out about that. Horned owl, this is your burgeoning seed. Usually clarifies the stagnant energy quite a bit. Burgeoning seed, the thing waiting to be birthed from you, waiting to come out. This is moving with stealth, keeping quiet, watching and learning. A horned owl makes no sound when she flies through the air, as she is a master of moving in silence while also taking in everything around her. She is constantly watching, listening, and avoiding potential danger while seeking out her prey. When pulling this card, your guidance is to remain silent when it comes to the question you've asked. There is nothing you can do or say that will change someone else's opinions, so it is best to leave people to their thoughts and go on your way. Instead, watch and learn about those around you. Wait, no, yeah, I read it right. Instead, watch and learn about those around you. What can you observe about their behavior? Do their actions match their words? This card suggests that there are people who are only supporting you verbally, or that their bark is way worse than, or that their bark is way more than their bite. You may not be able to count on them when the time comes and you need them most. Additionally, this card guides you to keep your plans under lock and key, because some dreams and goals are too big for small-minded people. Don't risk introducing doubt into your plans because of the opinions of people who don't have the vision to see the value in your ideas. That does clarify the first card here a little bit more. What's odd is this is a sort of mirroring, I think, some energy from the first group too. I'm seeing something similar, which is, I'll say, bad influence from people around you. Maybe some bad interactions that have left you a little bit. I think it is distinct from the first group a little bit though. That was more like possible betrayal. Whereas here I'm seeing more discouraging. What did it say? Some dreams and goals are too big for small-minded people. I think that stagnancy in taking action may well be a matter of believing other people's insecurities about your abilities. I want to look at this description again real quick. Yeah, it said validating, and I mentioned that it might be an invalidating, like an invalidation sign. And I think maybe this card means it could be coming like from a specific person or people in your life, maybe even well-intentioned. Stagnancy of trying to tap into your purpose. And the thing coming up in you is the ability to keep quiet. And I think there's again that idea of like the quiet and the stillness here. distinction between the quiet and the stillness, and the not building. And I think for you it maybe looks like needing to let go of some of that external validation. Maybe you like to maybe you're somebody who has trouble taking the first steps on something if you feel like that idea has not been validated as worthwhile or realistic for you by somebody else. And for you, that looks like a recipe for a disaster. You're not going to step into that purpose of the self if you need someone else's permission to do so. Again, this has a lot in common with the first group. For now, let me read your third one here as well. Groundhog 25. Oh, just before the horned owl. This is your clearing. What do you need to clear away what needs to be gotten rid of and allow for the flow of proper energies for you? This says alertness, waking up, and truth seeking. Okay. Groundhogs instantly bring to mind Groundhog's Day, which occurs right around Imbolc. The legend states that if a groundhog sees its shadow after coming out of its underground cave, there will be 6 more weeks of winter, but if there is no shadow, then spring will come early. This card suggests a feeling of being blindsided, such as when you experience an unexpected betrayal, when in truth the threat has been in front of you all along. Perhaps you have chosen not to see it, or your attention is trained on something else. Either way, the truth is coming to light now. You can choose to continue to hide from what is in front of you, therefore facing delayed pain and heartache. Or you can face it, heal, and move on to a much healthier and jovial time. If you have not faced anything unusual recently, this card advises you to be mindful of potential dangers. Stay alert and notice any subtle changes, especially in the behaviors of those around you. There may be time to solve a problem before it actually becomes one. Yeah, God, I don't know what is happening today. It was the same thing with the first group, where it almost feels like the cards are advising a distrust of other people, probably a specific person or couple of individuals. That feels very odd to me and very it feels like this should be bad advice, but I just was not expecting that. This is not usually a message I get in readings. It does not have to look like closing yourself off completely at all, but it looks like there's a need for, this is a purification spread, and it looks like you're having trouble cleansing yourself, cleansing your soul, because you are allowing influence of people who, I was going to say who don't have your best interest at heart. That may be true, or it may be more a matter of their advice cannot help you, whether that's due to malicious intent, whether that's due to ulterior motives, or whether it's due to they're just wrong. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which of those it is. Finding out which of those it is can be helpful information, but the thing that actually matters is being able to move without their permission, without their validation, without their acceptance. Can you move as an individual? These are more serious than I expected a little bit. Let's look at the messages from the shadow and highest self. I'm so sorry, my microphone just tipped over and bumped some stuff, and now my lighting is so bad and off. Why is my lighting like this? How do I fix it? I'm just gonna do this. Is that better? I can't tell. We're just gonna keep going. I'm gonna read the messages from the shadow self, which is Bridget. Bridget is many manifestations, embracing all of your parts and authenticity. It's so blue in here now. I don't know help it. Bridget is one of the most complex and beloved deities of Celtic mythology. She's known by many names, including Brigid, Bridget, Brigida, and Brigantia. Her lore is equally abundant. She is a goddess of fire and water and is connected with healing, craftsmanship, metalsmithing, agriculture, poetry, motherhood, children, life, and death. My levels are different. I think my levels are different. My mic got messed up. I'm so sorry. That's okay. She's depicted as being many ages, having been known as each aspect of the triple goddess, maiden, mother, and crone. But to say she is one thing would be to diminish her beauty and power. Unlike many other pagan deities, she is one of the few to survive Christianity's attempt to erase her influence. Bridget's appearance in your reading means it is okay to be more than one thing, to change your mind or even be something to one person and a different thing to another. Who you are at work requires a very different person from who you are with friends. Who you were with in the past does not have to be who you are today. This card validates your desire to take a different path, but also invites you to embrace all parts of who you are, giving each part of your personality room to shine when appropriate. In the rare event this card falls from the deck in reverse, it can mean you are allowing others to put you into a box in which you don't belong. Being true to yourself is your greatest power. It is not reversed, but it is the shadow self, and I know when I do readings, I often use reversed descriptions to sort of denote the shadow self, sort of. My lighting is driving me fucking crazy. So I think there is something to be said about allowing someone else to put you into a box. No, my camera's off. Pardon me. Yeah, I'm really seeing just a lot of like, for some of you, this is going to be family. For some of you, I think it might be a bad relationship. But I think for a lot of you, there might actually be something about like certain communities, maybe like online communities even, that are not the most healthy to you. I think I had a similar reading a month or two ago, if I'm not mistaken. If you were in that group, maybe it is still true, I don't know. But there's definitely something here about defining yourself by what other people are telling you that you are. And so I think this card is going to really be your main focus. That idea of stillness. Let's read it together. The message from the highest self. The dawn. Stillness, focusing on the self and presence. There is great intelligence in stillness, in which you are free to disconnect from the noise and the chaos of everyday life. You are being asked to look past your need to be productive, choosing instead to stand still, be at ease, and take solace in doing absolutely nothing. This is your time to rest and reflect. Listen to your spirit, asking it what it needs in this moment to be honored and fulfilled. Do you truly need to take action right now? Or is that your ego giving you a false sense of urgency? Are you keeping yourself busy to avoid looking too closely at feelings that are attempting to bubble over? What would happen if you allowed yourself to feel the truth of your emotions rather than trying to push them away? Bearing in mind the idea of sort of an epiphany of truth in the clearing card. Receiving this card suggests you are ready to face things and heal them so you can find the truth of what is hiding underneath. Receiving this card may also mean time in solitude is a powerful healing method for you to embrace. It does not necessarily have to mean, I'm going to try to change my lighting. It does not necessarily have to mean that you need to let go of whatever relationship is coming to mind with the messages of this reading here. It doesn't, you don't need to people I feel like right now are doing a lot of jumping to diagnosing sort of the people who are not good for them right now. And the main problem with that is that if you believe or you find that that person doesn't fit into oh, they're not a narcissist, or they're not toxic or something, then that makes you be like, well, then I guess I was wrong for thinking there was a problem. You don't need to figure out what their deal is, because it doesn't matter if it's their deal or yours. What matters is that clearly the way you are relating to them or reacting to them is not good for you right now. You don't need to banish them from your life completely. There are times that might not even be an option. But that idea of stillness, that idea of focusing on the self, very hard to find, how do I put this? It can be hard to find the self underneath all of the things that have been put on you if you are not used to that. If you have no practice with that, if you have always just gone along with what someone was saying about who you are, that can be a bad habit learned from a very young age. And you don't need to know all the steps. You don't need to you don't need to fix everything completely. Just allow for stillness. I highly recommend taking a meditation to give yourself space to disconnect from the patterns of it all, if that makes sense. Sometimes a lot of what we conceptualize as who we are as people are just patterns picked up. And we feel like we're somehow doing something wrong or misleading by letting go of that. And that's not true. You just need to allow yourself space to process, I think. And that feels a lot like doing nothing. Meditation feels a lot like wasting time when you are new to it. Please just trust me that it is not. It is not. I think that is it for you, group 2, the broom group. I think you know already in your heart where the problem is. You know what first came to mind when I said any of that. Just allow yourself space to rest and to think and to notice your own patterns. And I think that will help you greatly moving forward. And group 3, the light group. I'm going to start by pulling the cards for the message from the shadow self and the highest self. Shadow self, it's bathing ritual. With you, water spirit, I wash away what no longer serves me and drink in spells that call for healing. That's bathing ritual. And the message from the higher self. Arts and crafts. Nothing exists without the essence of spirit. May it be whispers or chants, your energy is what brings life to all you create. some like childlike joy maybe. But first let's pull your 3 across cards here. Your stagnant card. The energy in or around you that is stagnant is casserole. Trust in the flavors that led you here. An unexpected alignment. Let it move you in ways that capture your soul. Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about inner child work. Feels like most readings I'm always like, hey, meditate, shadow work, inner child work. And maybe that keeps being boring if you've seen multiple of my videos. But they keep coming up because they're kind of fundamental things to work on. But this is very clearly to me already inner child work. But we're gonna pull the last 2 cards and then read their descriptions together. This is your burgeoning seed card, the thing bubbling up within you, wanting to be birthed into the world. Oh, this was in the previous group as well. Bridget. May the serpent wake, bellowing with the rising flame and beckoning the wisdom that awaits your return. This is very much just like letting yourself be more than one thing. Not letting people box you in. Still in line with the inner child work. This one's much more straightforward than the other 2. Your last one, the clearing card. What needs to be done to clear away what needs to be gotten rid of to allow for the flow of energy? This was also in the last group. Wow. Calming. I am here, present, ready to answer the call. Hear my beating roar coming back home to me. And this is just a very positive card. It described itself as being a very yes card. So this is an interesting reading. I'm going to start by reading from the booklet for the 3 across here. Casserole 13. The stagnant energy. What is stagnant within you? Keywords are alignment, bringing things together in a harmonious way. I've said this with the other groups as well. The booklet is written as if these are like single card pulls, very direct. So bear in mind that this is not just like on its own, it's specifically in the context of being energy that is stagnant for you. So, grain of salt here when it says, this card will appear when lifetime or long-term connections are being formed. Again, that's what the booklet says, but that's currently energy that the reading is saying is stagnant for you. It suggests the presence of a soulmate, angel investor or business partner, and potentially a new addition to your family, such as a child or a fur baby. It could also represent finding your life calling or settling in a place that feels like home. Much like a casserole, this new connection indicates a feeling of warmth, familiarity, and comfort. You can expect this relationship to be harmonious, for there to be a feeling of belonging together like mac and cheese. Don't allow doubt to spoil things when this feeling appears into your life. The attachment you have or are building is very likely to be reliable and fits into the moving parts of your life with ease. If you're inquiring about bringing things together, such as a group of friends or blending a family, this card is a confirmation that everyone involved will find joy with one another. For questions related to finances, this card suggests financial stability and comfort. You may experience a windfall or be blessed with an opportunity to create long-term wealth. So a very positive card, but again, it is stagnant. Very much about other people and about finding connections that feel good for you. That feels stagnant right now. I'm going to keep reading and I can give context. The burgeoning seed. Bridget. The thing wanting to come out of you. Ready just under the surface. This is many manifestations, embracing all your parts and authenticity. Bridget, one of the most complex and beloved deities of Celtic mythology, is known by many names including Brigid, Brigida, and Brigantia. Her lore is equally abundant. She is a goddess of fire and water and is connected with healing, craftsmanship, metalsmithing, agriculture, poetry, motherhood, children, life, and death. She is depicted as being many ages, having been known as each in the aspect of the triple goddess, maiden, mother, and crone. But to say she's one thing would be to diminish her beauty and power. Unlike many other pagan deities, she is one of the few to survive Christianity's attempt to erase her influence. Bridget's appearance in your reading means it is okay to be more than one thing, to change your mind, or even to be something to one person and a different thing to another. Who you are at work requires a very different person from who you are with friends. Who you were in the past does not have to be who you are today. This card validates your desire to take a different path, but also invites you to embrace all parts of who you are, giving each part of your personality room to shine when appropriate. In the rare event that this card falls from the deck in reverse, it can mean you are allowing others to put you into a box in which you don't belong. Being true to yourself is your greatest power. So, in this position, there is a sense of currently feeling a limit. Currently feeling a limit on the self. And that is dishonest to the wholeness of who you are. And clearly on some level you know that, but you're having trouble letting go of, I'm not sure what it is. It could be fear, it could be doubt, it could just be old habits. Let's read this, the clearing card. What does need to be done to clear away what needs to be gotten rid of and tap into a flow of energy. This means coming back home to the self, answering the call, and taking the action. You have pulled this card today as confirmation that you are on the right path. What you have asked about is right for where you are at this time in your life, and you can expect your situation to work out in a way that feels comfortable and natural for you. There is a feeling of coming home to where you belong when receiving this card. Even if things are still a little rocky, know that this will soon be over and you are already moving towards bliss. This card serves as the yes card in this deck and also validates any idea, project, or relationship you are interested in moving forward with. Answer the call that is ringing in your soul, because the excitement and joy you feel is your higher self telling you this is what you are here on this earth to do or to become. In some readings, this card indicates a need to spend more time at home or with family to heal any outstanding domestic troubles. Though there isn't much to be concerned about in moving forward, as long as you're showing a willingness to overcome any problems. Both of the first two groups had a strong theme of a distrust of people, and then the cards, this sounds bad, almost kind of validated that distrust a little bit. There was something about like shaking off bad people in one's life. This feels much like brighter and happier and much more about letting people in. Yeah, I'm seeing this just feels very positive and bright and good. There are so many good things waiting for you just under the surface. It feels so close. It feels so on the cusp. It mentions coming back home to the self. And then the self here is sort of validated as being vaster than you have been giving it credit for. And I think with that stagnation in connection with other people and with community, with others, I think there's something to the idea of being that person who is so themselves that it lets other people feel more free to be themselves. And you get to choose to be that if you want. And I think you do want. Let's read the two messages from the shadow self and the higher self as well. I see a lot of joy and care in here that I think is really good. Let's hear from the shadow self. Number 6, bathing ritual. Healing, washing away negativity or what does not belong, and preparing for success. Receiving this card is a good omen that a new beginning is very close at hand. However, there is still a little healing to do before you can welcome a fresh phase. There are remnants of a past experience that are still negatively influencing your choices and what you're calling into existence. You may not even be consciously aware of just how much emotional or spiritual weight you are still carrying. You may wish to consider reaching out to a professional if you feel called to, who can help you access those areas of your life that are in need of healing so you can safely process and move forward. Each time you confront the challenges of your past, you open up a little more space, which allows you to fill your life with more joy, abundance, and love. Pulling this card is a sign that now is not quite the right time to move forward with your plans, although you are not very far away from the light at the end of the tunnel. Skipping over this critical healing step could derail any future success you might have. Instead, invest in this act of self-care, washing away what no longer serves the person you are becoming. That fits very well with the whole overall theme of being a purification spread. The other three cards do not really hearken overtly to any kind of trauma. However, the shadow self is revealing a little bit of that. And like I said at the beginning, there's some inner child stuff here. I suspect it's maybe from your home life, maybe from a very young age, and it seems like you've done a good job of moving past that. However, sometimes moving forward and moving on are two very different things. And sometimes there's a little bit of repression, maybe, rather than healing. And I think that I feel a strong connection to the casserole in here because it's so, domestic. It doesn't have to be, family, necessarily, but it could be. But it's just, that idea of communing with others. And the stagnancy there, I think, does come down to whatever this card is alluding to for a past negative experience. Again, I'm getting the sense it is some kind of childhood trauma. There may even be full-blown CPTSD. This card, the booklet mentions possibly reaching out to a professional. You knowing yourself if that is needed for you, and if it's available to you as an option right now. But in any case, moving with that sense of self-care, that sense of I feel like the word self-care has become so buzzwordified almost that it starts to lose its meaning. And just sit for a minute with that idea of actually taking care of yourself, providing care. It can be hard to know how to do that if, in the case for maybe some of you, care was not provided properly when you needed it, when you were younger. It can feel like you are having to start. It can feel like you are having to build a house with no foundation laid. Starting just looks so soft and gentle. I think there might be something to literally, the bathing ritual is a metaphor, but there could be something to literally focusing on taking physical care of yourself. If you've been doing a lot of microwave meals and fast food, try cooking for yourself without hating cooking the whole time. Try cooking, and the whole time you're preparing something, even if it's something simple, just making a hot meal for yourself, and the whole time you're cooking, you're thinking of cooking a meal for yourself as a child. Try taking a bath or shower, and the whole time it feels like you are washing and cleaning yourself as a child and caring for yourself. Like you are dependent on yourself, because you are. In the booklet here, it says wash away the old ritual. In a warm bath or shower, lather a washcloth with a generous amount of your favorite soap or body wash. Massage the cloth all over your skin while repeating, I wash away anything that is preventing me from experiencing what you wish to call into existence in my life. Rinse thoroughly and repeat this ritual daily. What you can take from that is just the idea of performing these small domestic tasks with intention. when you wash your face before bed. There we go, sorry. When you wash your face before bed, like, think about the care you are providing with yourself. You can, like it recommends, you can think of like a phrase to think to yourself if that's helpful. Otherwise, just think about providing care for yourself. And I do recommend thinking of yourself as a child, your inner child, that like youthful, the need that we feel, that we associate with children. That sense of dependency, the like neediness that we associate with children, we don't outgrow that because we still have needs. We just sort of, because we stop thinking about them as like mattering as much because they're not as dependent on another person doing them for you. But like, spend some time thinking about yourself being in charge of taking care of you and the way that you are dependent on yourself. And like, think of that as an act of love and care and like, I don't even know how to word it. But like all of those small daily things, the washing and cleansing, doing your hair or makeup or putting on your cologne, dressing yourself, cooking for yourself, driving yourself around or taking transportation, these little like daily things. Start thinking of them as acts of love you are doing for yourself. And again, that can be easier to do when you are picturing your younger self. And finally, arts and crafts. Oh, it's just one card before that. This is the message from your highest self. The keywords are independence, creating your vision, and getting involved. The arts and crafts card comes to you when you are trying to manifest your vision using other people's means and methods instead of creating something for yourself. It feels very related to the Bridget card, maybe. This card asks, why buy artwork when you can paint? Or purchase clothes when you can sew your own? There is certainly no shortage of modern conveniences, but eliminating yourself from the crafting process reduces your chance of finding exactly what you're looking for. Don't cut yourself short thinking that you don't have the skill to bring your ideas and visions to life, because skills can be learned and mastered. In a love reading, this card can mean you are losing yourself in a relationship and dissolving yourself into the other person. Make sure you are voicing your wants and needs to avoid resentment down the line. In a reading about money or career, this card means a lazy attitude towards financial comfort or a desire for other people to take care of you. It can indicate a feeling of always expecting others to fix your mistakes, rather than you taking responsibility. It's time to stand on your own 2 feet and start building your own life. Additionally, this card can mean getting more involved in a cause you believe in. Is there an injustice that is troubling you? Perhaps it is time for you to speak up, as you may have a perspective and potential ideas that could make all the difference in someone else's life. Sort of a wide-ranging card. I actually don't think I have much to add for that. I think I'm just going to let you sit with the description as written, as being a message from your highest self. Bearing in mind the context of that idea of that inner child healing, that idea of allowing yourself to be multiple different things. None of these other cards have really directly come back to this casserole card, that idea of like community and finding your people. So I think you should take it as like that naturally unfolds when you start to do some of that inner child healing. And especially that arts and crafts card at the end, talking about like finding a cause that you care deeply about. There are a lot of opportunities to find your people in that. I think I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for being here with me. Group number 3, the light group. I truly wish you all the best.